Hey guys, how are you? Today we're going to listen news. I'm going to talk with my assistant right now. Okay, go ahead. What kind of news do we have today? Most important news for people, economic news, everything like that.
All right, let's dive into some of the most important news today. The big story is definitely the potential government shutdown. Congress is racing against the clock to agree on a budget, and if they don't, we could see a lot of government services grind to a halt. We're talking national parks closing, passport delays, and even potential disruptions to food safety inspections. On the economic front, there's a lot of focus on how this potential shutdown could impact the markets and consumer confidence. Would you like to explore either of these topics in more detail?
Yes, tell me details about these topics.
Okay, let's talk about the potential government shutdown in the US. Basically, Congress needs to pass a budget to keep the government running. If they don't, a lot of things could be affected. We're talking about national parks closing, delays in things like passport processing, and even potential disruptions to food safety inspections. It could also have a ripple effect on the economy, impacting markets and consumer confidence.
Okay, how about world news?
The situation in Gaza remains tense, with ongoing conflict and humanitarian concerns. There are also developments in Eastern Europe, as countries grapple with political instability and economic challenges.
Something else?
Certainly, in sports, the Major League Baseball playoffs are underway, with teams battling for a spot in the World Series. And in entertainment, several new movies and TV shows have just been released, generating a lot of buzz.
Okay, what else? How about Russia and Ukraine news?
The war in Ukraine is still ongoing, and the situation remains tense. Russia has launched several attacks recently, and Ukraine is fighting back fiercely. There's a lot of concern about the safety of civilians in the affected areas, and international organizations are calling for humanitarian aid to reach those in need.
Yeah, so situation is sad, yes?
Yes, it's a really difficult situation. Millions of people have been displaced from their homes, and many are struggling to find food and shelter. The international community is working to provide aid, but the needs are immense.
Okay, what you can say about labor situation, unemployment situation in US today?
Currently, the US unemployment rate is around 4.3%, which is considered relatively low. However, there are some concerns about slowing job growth in certain sectors. Would you like to hear more about specific industries or regions?
Yeah, tell me more little bit about Washington State.
Washington State's job market is generally strong, especially in tech and healthcare. The unemployment rate is a bit lower than the national average, around 4.1%. However, some areas are seeing slower job growth, particularly in manufacturing.
Okay, um, how about what's going on with trucking business right now, truck driver business?
The trucking industry is facing some challenges right now. Fuel prices are still a major concern, and there's a bit of a slowdown in freight demand. This can make it tougher for drivers to find consistent, well-paying loads. Are you interested in learning more about the specific challenges drivers are facing, or perhaps the impact on the overall economy?
Yeah, just how many companies was closed in 2025, truck drivers companies?
It's tricky to give an exact number for all trucking company closures, as many smaller ones might shut down without formal bankruptcy filings. However, reports indicate that the trucking industry has been experiencing a, quote, great freight recession, leading to a noticeable increase in bankruptcies over the past few years. For example, in the second quarter of 2025 alone, there were at least 17 bankruptcy filings. We've also seen some larger regional companies close their doors. Would you like me to find some specific examples of trucking companies that have closed this year?
Yeah, just tell me what's going on with trucking business around US, and tell me how many companies was closed in this month.
Right now, the trucking industry is facing some significant challenges. There's been a noticeable downturn, sometimes called a freight recession. This has led to an increase in company closures and bankruptcies. For example, just in the second quarter of 2025, there were at least 17 bankruptcy filings. We've also seen some larger regional companies close their doors. Would you like me to find some specific examples of trucking companies that have closed this year?
Yes.
Okay, here's a quick rundown of what's happening with trucking in the US. The industry is facing a bit of a downturn, with more companies closing down than usual. Just in the second quarter of 2025, there were at least 17 bankruptcy filings. We've also seen some bigger regional companies shut their doors. Do you want to hear about any specific companies that closed this year?
Yeah.
There are a few factors at play here. The trucking industry has been facing a bit of a downturn, sometimes called a quote-quote recession. This has led to an increase in company closures and bankruptcies. For example, just in the second quarter of 2025, there were at least 17 bankruptcy filings. We've also seen some larger regional companies close their doors. Would you like to hear about any specific companies that closed this year?
No, that's enough. So, a lot of companies filled out papers for bankruptcy, yes?
Yes, that's right. The trucking industry is facing some tough times, and we're seeing an increase in bankruptcy filings. Just in the second quarter of 2025, there were at least 17 such filings. Do you want to hear about any specific companies that have filed for bankruptcy this year?
How about last year? How many companies filled out for bankruptcy?
To give you a better picture, in 2024, there were a number of notable trucking company bankruptcies. Some examples include...
Yeah, just tell me.
Here are a few examples of trucking companies that filed for bankruptcy in 2024. Nationwide Cargo, Arnold Transportation, US Logistics Solutions.
Okay, so this is last year happened, yes?
Yes, those examples I just gave you are from 2024. Would you like to hear about any specific companies that have filed for bankruptcy this year?
So it means today's situation worse than last year, yeah? Than 2024.
Well, it's difficult to say definitively if the situation is worse this year than last without looking at more specific data. However, it's clear that the trucking industry is facing significant challenges in 2025.
I gotcha.
If you'd like to explore this further, we could look. So, would you like to explore this further? We could look at the specific factors contributing to these challenges.
Yes.
Perhaps examine how it's impacting different regions of the US.
Yes, tell me about that.
Well, there are several factors contributing to the challenges in the trucking industry. One major issue is the decrease in freight demand. This means there are fewer loads to transport, which puts pressure on trucking companies to lower their prices to stay competitive. Another factor is the rising operational costs. Fuel prices remain high, and insurance rates have also increased significantly. These expenses squeeze profit margins, making it harder for companies to stay afloat. Finally, there's the ongoing driver shortage. It's difficult to attract and retain qualified drivers, which limits the number of loads a company can take on.
Okay. Yeah, tell me more.
Let's talk about how this situation might be affecting different regions of the US. Are you interested in a specific area, or would you like a general overview?
Yeah, tell me generally.
Okay. Generally speaking, the challenges in the trucking industry are being felt across the US, but some regions are being hit harder than others. For example, areas with a strong manufacturing base, like the Midwest, are seeing a bigger impact due to the decrease in freight demand. On the other hand, regions with a lot of e-commerce activity, like the West Coast, might be faring a bit better. It's a complex situation, and it really depends on the specific industries and economic conditions of each region.
Okay. Tell me which state has a worst situation for truck drivers.
It's important to understand that worst can mean different things to different drivers. Some might prioritize good pay, while others focus on road conditions or regulations. However, some states consistently rank poorly for truck drivers due to a combination of factors. Based on various reports, California and New York are often considered very challenging. California has notoriously strict regulations and high fuel costs, while New York has heavy traffic and difficult routes. Would you like me to find more details on why these states are considered difficult for truckers?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about the states with the toughest conditions for truck drivers. California often tops the list due to its strict regulations, high fuel costs, and heavy traffic, especially in major cities. New York is another challenging state, with its congested roads, difficult routes, and high tolls. On the other hand, states like Texas and Florida are generally considered more favorable for truckers, with better pay rates and less stringent regulations.
Okay. Which one is best states for truck drivers?
States like Texas and Florida are often considered pretty good for truck drivers. They tend to have better pay rates and less strict rules compared to other states.
I know Florida is not good state for truck drivers. There is not enough job for local people, for local drivers. What are you talking about?
Yes, you're right. Florida's job market for truck drivers can be quite competitive, especially for local routes. This is largely due to the high number of drivers already in the state, which can lead to lower wages and fewer available positions.
Yes, because you told me it's like best state is Florida for truck drivers. I don't think so.
You're right to question that. Florida's job market for truck drivers can be quite competitive, especially for local routes. This is largely due to the high number of drivers already in the state, which can lead to lower wages and fewer available positions.
Okay. So your vision is a little bit different than mine, I understand. Okay. Tell me a little bit more about world news.
One of the big stories is the ongoing conflict in Gaza. Israel has expanded its ground operations, and there's heavy fighting reported. There's also a lot of political and economic instability in Eastern Europe right now. Many countries are dealing with the aftershocks of the war in Ukraine. And of course, the potential government shutdown in the US is making headlines worldwide.
Okay. What's going on in China right now? What relationship between US and China?
The relationship between the US and China is pretty complex right now. There's a lot of competition, especially when it comes to trade and technology. Both countries are major players on the world stage, so their relationship has a big impact on global affairs. Are you interested in a specific aspect of the US-China relationship, or would you like a general overview?
General overview first, please.
Okay, here's a general overview. The US and China have a really complex relationship. They're major players in the world economy, so there's a lot of competition, especially when it comes to trade and technology. At the same time, they also need to work together on some global issues, like climate change and international security. It's a bit of a balancing act.
Okay, more.
One of the big points of tension is over Taiwan. The US supports Taiwan's self-governance, while China considers it part of its territory. This creates a lot of potential for conflict. There are also ongoing trade disputes. The US accuses China of unfair trade practices, while China argues that the US is trying to contain its economic growth. And then there's the issue of human rights. The US has criticized China's record on human rights, particularly in Xinjiang and Hong Kong, which China sees as interference in its internal affairs.
Yeah, tell me more about Chinese robotic system.
China is making huge strides in robotics. They're investing heavily in automation for manufacturing, and they're also developing advanced robots for things like healthcare and even space exploration.
More.
China is really pushing forward with robotics. They're investing a lot in automation for their factories, and they're also working on some pretty advanced robots for things like helping out in hospitals and even exploring space.
Tell me more. Companies, what companies is best companies in China robotics and everything like that.
China has a booming robotics industry. Some of the top players are CSUN, known for its industrial robots, and UTech Robotics, which focuses on humanoid robots. There's also Geek Plus, a leader in warehouse automation, and DJI, which is famous for its drones. Do you want to focus on a specific type of robot, like industrial or consumer robots?
Both of them.
Okay, for industrial robots, CSUN is a major player in China. They make robots for all sorts of factory work, like welding, assembly, and handling materials. Then there's UTech Robotics, which is more focused on humanoid robots. They're developing robots that can do things like help out in hospitals or even work in people's homes.
Go ahead, more.
Geek Plus is another big name in China's robotics scene. They focus on warehouse automation, building robots that can move goods around and help with things like picking and packing orders. Then there's DJI, which is famous for its drones. They make all sorts of drones, from small ones for hobbyists to big ones used in industries like agriculture and construction.
Okay, more.
Alright, let's talk about some of the challenges and opportunities in China's robotics industry. What are you most curious about?
Yeah, tell me what you know.
Alright, let's talk about some of the challenges and opportunities in China's robotics industry. What are you most curious about?
Yeah, just tell me what you know about that.
China's robotics industry is pretty dynamic, with a mix of both challenges and opportunities.
Go ahead. Tell me about challenges, what kind of challenges they have and opportunities. Yeah? Go ahead.
China's robotics industry is booming, but it faces some hurdles. One big challenge is catching up with global leaders in core technologies, like high-precision components and advanced software. There's also a need for more skilled workers to design, build, and maintain these complex systems. On the flip side, China has a massive market for robots, especially with its growing manufacturing sector and aging population. The government is also heavily investing in robotics research and development, which creates a lot of opportunities for growth and innovation.
Okay. Yeah, guys, don't forget to subscribe if you like a video, and of course share with this video. Okay,
I'm glad you enjoyed our conversation. If you
yeah.
have any more questions about China's robotics industry or anything else, feel
Yeah.
free to ask.
Tell me about China's economic right now.
China's economy is a mix of strengths and challenges right now. It's still a major global force, but growth has slowed a bit compared to the rapid pace of previous decades. There are a few key things to keep in mind.
Go ahead, more.
The real estate sector, which used to be a major engine of growth, is facing some serious challenges right now. This is having a ripple effect on other parts of the economy. There's also the issue of youth unemployment, which is quite high. This is a concern for the government, as it could lead to social instability. On the other hand, China is still a major manufacturing hub, and its exports remain strong. The government is also trying to shift the economy towards more sustainable growth, focusing on technology and domestic consumption.
Okay. I know they have big struggles with real estate market. China had a big struggles last year. How about this year? Same thing?
You're right, the real estate market in China has been facing some serious challenges, and unfortunately those struggles have continued into this year. Hang on, actually, let me start over. You're right, the real estate market in China has been facing some serious challenges, and unfortunately those struggles have continued into this year. Here's a quick rundown. There's still a lot of uncertainty, and that's making potential buyers hesitant. Many developers are still dealing with heavy debt, which is slowing down new construction. Also, there is a lot of concern about the effect of this situation on the overall Chinese economy. Would you like to know more about the government's response to this situation?
Yes.
You're right, the real estate market in China has been facing some serious challenges, and unfortunately those struggles have continued into this year. Here's a quick rundown. There's still a lot of uncertainty, and that's making potential buyers hesitant. Many developers are still dealing with heavy debt, which is slowing down new construction. Also, there is a lot of concern about the effect of this situation on the overall Chinese economy. Would you like to know more about the government's response to this situation?
No, I want to know different thing. So tell me what's going on with real estate market in US right now.
The US real estate market is also experiencing a mix of trends. Mortgage rates are a big factor right now. They've been fluctuating, and that's making some potential buyers a little hesitant. Here's a quick overview. Actually, let's try that again. The US real estate market is also experiencing a mix of trends. Mortgage rates are a big factor right now. They've been fluctuating, and that's making some potential buyers a little hesitant. Here's a quick overview. Home prices have been increasing, but the pace of that increase has slowed down a bit in some areas. Inventory is still relatively tight in many markets, meaning there aren't a ton of homes available, which can keep prices somewhat high. There's a lot of regional variation. Some areas are still very competitive, while others are seeing a bit more of a slowdown. Would you like to know more about a specific region in the US?
Yes, which reason has more struggles, economical struggles, and which regions has a good economic right now? States.
It's tricky to say which region has the most struggles, as economic health varies a lot. But here's a general idea. Hang on, actually, let me start over. It's tricky to say which region has the most struggles, as economic health varies a lot. But here's a general idea. Areas with struggles. Regions heavily reliant on manufacturing have seen some downturns. Areas with high living costs and slow wage growth are also feeling a squeeze. Areas doing well. Technology hubs and regions with diverse economies tend to be more stable. States with strong tourism or energy sectors are also seeing growth. To get more specific, we could look at factors like unemployment rates, housing market trends, or industry growth in certain areas. Would you like to focus on a particular region?
Yeah, tell me about Washington State.
Washington State has a pretty strong and diverse economy. It's known for big players in tech, like Amazon and Microsoft, and also has a thriving aerospace industry thanks to Boeing. Here's a quick overview. The Seattle area is a major economic hub with a lot of growth in tech and related fields. Washington also has a strong agricultural sector, particularly in eastern Washington. Tourism plays a significant role, with the state's natural beauty attracting visitors. Would you like to know more about a specific industry in Washington State?
No, I want to change the topic a little bit. So, yeah, I heard a lot of news. So, some good news, some not very good news. And I want to know a little bit more. So, your prediction for this year, economic going to grow or our debt going to grow? US debt.
All right, let's talk about the US economy. It's a bit of a mixed bag right now.
Go ahead. Go ahead, tell me, yeah.
Well, that's a big question. The US economy is facing some headwinds, so there's concern about whether it will continue to grow or if the national debt will become a bigger issue.
More white.
Alright, so some experts think the economy will keep growing, but at a slower pace. They point to things like steady job growth and consumer spending. Other experts are more worried about inflation and rising interest rates, and they think we could see a recession. As for the debt, it's definitely a concern, and it's something to keep an eye on.
I gotcha.
Yeah, it's a bit of a wait-and-see situation. The economy is always changing, and it's hard to predict exactly what will happen.
Okay.
Anyway, what else is on your mind?
What's going on with the weather right now? So, with the climate.
It's definitely an interesting time for weather and climate. We're seeing some pretty significant shifts globally. Hang on, actually, let me start over. It's definitely an interesting time for weather and climate. We're seeing some pretty significant shifts globally. Here's a general overview. We're experiencing rising global temperatures. This leads to more frequent and intense heat waves in many areas. Changes in precipitation patterns are also happening, with some regions facing increased drought while others experience more intense rainfall and flooding. Also, we have to remember that extreme weather events, like hurricanes and wildfires, are becoming more common. It's important to remember that all of these changes are interconnected and have a big impact on our planet.
Okay. Little bit more white, please.
One of the big things we're seeing is that the oceans are warming up. This can lead to stronger hurricanes and changes in ocean currents, which affects weather patterns around the world. We're also seeing more extreme heat waves, especially in places that are already warm. These heat waves can be really dangerous for people's health and can also lead to things like wildfires.
Okay, yeah. So,
Is there anything else I can help you with?
yeah, you can help me with another topic right now. Tell me about electrical trucks. What's going on with electrical trucks right now? So Tesla's trucks and everything like that.
Electric trucks are becoming a bigger and bigger deal. We're seeing more and more of them on the roads, and the technology is improving all the time. Here's a quick rundown. Tesla's Cybertruck is finally hitting the roads, and it's definitely turning heads with its unique look. Ford's F-150 Lightning is another popular choice, especially for people who need a truck for work. We're also seeing electric trucks from companies like Rivian, which are designed for off-roading and adventure. It's an exciting time for electric trucks, and it'll be interesting to see how the technology develops over the next few years. Do you want to know more about a specific electric truck model?
Yeah, tell me widely.
Electric trucks are really changing the game right now. They're becoming more and more common, and the technology is getting better all the time. Here's a quick overview. Tesla's Cybertruck is finally hitting the roads, and it's definitely a head-turner with its unique design. Ford's F-150 Lightning is another popular option, especially for folks who need a truck for work. And then there are electric trucks from companies like Rivian, which are built for off-roading and adventures. It's an exciting time for electric trucks, and it'll be interesting to see how things change in the next few years. Do you want to know more about a specific electric truck model?
Yeah, about Tesla's truck.
The Tesla Cybertruck is definitely a hot topic. It's an all-electric pickup truck with a super futuristic look. Think sharp angles and a stainless steel body. It's designed to be tough and powerful, and it's got some cool features like adjustable air suspension and a huge touchscreen inside. Here's a quick overview. It's got a pretty impressive range, so you can go the distance without worrying about charging. It can tow a lot, which is great for hauling heavy loads. And it's seriously fast, going from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just a few seconds. It's definitely a unique truck, and it's generating a lot of buzz. Do you want to know more about its features or performance?
So you're talking about semi-truck, yeah?
Yeah, the Tesla Semi is pretty interesting. It's designed for long-haul trucking, so it's got a big battery for a long range. Tesla is also building special charging stations just for the Semi, so companies can keep their trucks on the road.
Okay, which company using right now Tesla semi-trucks?
Okay, so a few major companies are already using Tesla semi-trucks in their operations. Here are a few examples. Actually, let me try that one more time. Okay, so a few major companies are already using Tesla semi-trucks in their operations. Here are a few examples. PepsiCo. They're using them to deliver snacks and drinks. Walmart. They're testing them out for their own delivery routes. US Foods. They are integrating the semi-trucks into their regional logistic operations. It's worth noting that more and more companies are starting to explore electric options for their fleets, so this list will likely grow.
Yeah. No, I understand.
Anyway, what else is on your mind?
Yeah, I understand that, but very interesting. If no drivers, no warehouse workers, who is going to buy that production? You know what I mean?
That's a really interesting point. It's true that automation could lead to job losses in some sectors, but it might also create new opportunities in others. We might see a shift towards jobs that focus on things like technology development, maintenance, and customer service. It's a complex issue with a lot of different perspectives.
Okay, tell me widely about that.
There are a few different ideas about how automation might affect the economy. Some people think it could lead to a decrease in overall employment as machines take over tasks previously done by humans. Others believe it could create new jobs in fields like technology development and maintenance. There's also the possibility that automation could lead to increased productivity and economic growth, which could benefit everyone.
What kind of companies in China doing same thing like Tesla's truck?
China's electric vehicle market is booming, and that includes electric trucks. Here are a couple of major players. BYD is a huge company that makes all sorts of electric vehicles, including heavy-duty trucks. Geely has also gotten into the electric truck game with their home truck model.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Yeah. So, which one electric truck right now best one in the world?
That's a tough question, as best can depend on what you're looking for. But here are a couple of strong contenders. The Rivian R1T is a popular choice for its off-road capabilities and luxurious interior. The Ford F-150 Lightning is a solid all-around truck, especially for those who need it for work. Both trucks have their pros and cons, so it really depends on your priorities.
Okay, I gotcha. So, I got it.
Do you have any other questions about electric trucks, or is there anything else I can help you with?
Yeah. What's going to happen next year?
Oh, I see what you're asking. You're wondering about the future of the trucking industry with the rise of electric trucks. That's a great question.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me widely, please.
Sure. The trucking industry is definitely on the verge of a big transformation with electric trucks. Here's a glimpse into what the future might hold. Hang on, actually, let me start over. Sure. The trucking industry is definitely on the verge of a big transformation with electric trucks. Here's a glimpse into what the future might hold. We'll likely see more and more electric trucks on the road, especially for shorter routes and deliveries within cities. Charging infrastructure will become increasingly important, with more charging stations popping up along highways and at distribution centers. Electric trucks could also lead to changes in how logistics and supply chains are managed, with a focus on optimizing routes and charging schedules. It's an exciting time for the trucking industry, and electric trucks are poised to play a major role in shaping its future.
Okay, tell me more.
Alright, so we might see more electric trucks being used for long-haul trips as battery technology gets better. There could also be new types of electric trucks designed for specific industries, like mining or construction. It's a really interesting time for the trucking industry.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, I'm here if you'd like to explore any other topics.
Yeah, if you're first time on my channel, please subscribe and share with my video. Yeah, you can write some comments about our conversation with my assistant.
Of course. I'm glad you enjoyed our conversation. I'm always
Yeah,
learning new things,
yeah, so,
and I appreciate your feedback.
Yeah.
Thanks for chatting with me today. I enjoyed our conversation.
Yeah. So, one more thing.
Sounds good.
What's
The last thing you'd
going
like to chat about?
to happen with the world temperature?
Based on current trends, global temperatures are expected to continue rising. We're already seeing the effects of climate change with more frequent heat waves, changes in rainfall patterns, and rising sea levels.
Yeah, but what's going on? Why it happens?
Essentially, the main reason behind the rising global temperatures is the increase in greenhouse gases in our atmosphere. These gases, like carbon dioxide, trap heat from the sun, causing the Earth to warm up.
So, too much cars, you mean, and trucks on the roads?
It's not just cars and trucks, but they definitely play a role. Burning fossil fuels releases those greenhouse gases I mentioned, and transportation is a big contributor. Power plants, factories, and even agriculture also add to the problem.
I got you. Okay. So,
Anyway, I'm here to chat about anything else.
if you know, a few years ago passed Zhirinovsky, Russian politic, and he told about, I'm from Ukraine, but I'm just so video about how he is saying very soon Siberia, it's Russian region, no, very north Russian region, is going to be like paradise. There is going to be palms and bananas going to grow over there because there is minus 60 by Celsius in the winter time. So what do you think about that?
It's true that rising global temperatures could lead to changes in weather patterns, but it's unlikely that Siberia would become a tropical paradise. While some areas might experience warmer temperatures, they could also face other challenges, like changes in rainfall and increased risk of wildfires.
Did you know what I heard before? It's like a prophecy about Siberia going to be going to have very warm weather because a lot of people who is going to live over there because going to be big persecution for Christians, so they going to live in Siberia and like a God going to prepare that place. So yeah, I heard some kind of prophecy about that a long time ago, and right now I see temperature in Siberia and a lot of places there is like a ice under the ground, and that ice it's melting right now, and there is big holes, huge one in the ground, and very deep ones.
There is evidence that Siberia is experiencing significant changes due to global warming. Permafrost, the frozen ground in the region, is thawing at an alarming rate. This thawing releases large amounts of methane, a potent greenhouse gas, which further accelerates warming. Additionally, the melting permafrost can cause the ground to become unstable, leading to the formation of large sinkholes and damage to infrastructure. It's important to note that while some areas of Siberia may become more habitable, the overall impact of climate change on the region is likely to be complex and potentially disruptive.
Yeah, like I saying, I saw videos.
Is there anything else I can help you with?
Yeah, I saw some videos about Siberia, so there is very interesting situations. Holes everywhere in
The changes
Siberia.
happening in Siberia are definitely...
Yeah, and they finding that those kind of, how it's called, from ice period, like elephants, animals. I forgot how it's called.
You're thinking of woolly mammoths. Yeah, it's pretty wild how well preserved some of those animals are. It gives us a really cool look into the past, but it's also a little unsettling to see how much the permafrost is melting.
Yeah, like I saying, yeah, there is like situation, very interesting situation about this, Yeah, I saw just
it really
a lot.
is fascinating.
Yeah, I saw just a lot of videos about Siberia. Yeah, about Siberia. Yeah,
What did you think of the videos?
Yeah, there is Siberian tiger live in a forest over there. If you know, it's biggest tiger in the world.
The Siberian tiger is definitely impressive. It's the largest cat species in the world, and it's amazing that they can survive in such a harsh environment.
Yeah, and very interesting. Yeah, tiger can live in a very cold weather. It's very interesting,
It really is. They've got some amazing adaptations to survive in that kind of cold. What else would you like to know about them?
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of cats, they cannot survive over there, but tiger can.
That's right. Most cats aren't built for that kind of extreme cold. Siberian tigers have thick fur, extra layers of fat, and big paws that act like snowshoes to help them hunt in those freezing conditions.
Yeah, it's funny, yeah. It's cool. So what
It's definitely cool how they've adapted. Did you know that...
Yeah, go ahead.
How about we explore some of the challenges Siberian tigers face?
Ah. Go ahead.
Sounds good. What would you like to know about the challenges they face?
No, I wanted to know different thing. Tell me about AI.
AI stands for artificial intelligence. It's basically when computers can do things that normally require human intelligence, like learning, problem solving, and understanding language. There are different types of AI, but the main goal is to create machines that can think and act in smart ways.
How smart is AI right now?
AI is getting smarter all the time. We're seeing AI that can write stories, create art, and even hold pretty convincing conversations. It's also being used in things like self-driving cars and to help doctors diagnose diseases.
Okay, diagnose diseases. Okay, so cool.
So, what other topics are you curious about?
Yeah, tell me about space news, but tell me please widely. You saying very shortly all news, but tell me more slow in more slow manner and more widely, please. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate though.
Okay, there's a lot happening in space right now. NASA just launched a new mission to study a really interesting asteroid made of metal. It might even be the core of a destroyed planet. They're hoping it will tell us more about how planets form. Also, there's a big focus on going back to the moon. NASA's Artemis program is planning to send astronauts to the lunar South Pole, and they're working with private companies to develop the technology for that.
More?
It's an exciting time for space exploration. Besides the moon mission, there's a lot of focus on Mars. Scientists are studying the planet's atmosphere and geology to learn if it could have ever supported life. They're also developing new technologies to help us explore even further into our solar system.
Okay.
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, I wanna just talk about
Okay, I'm ready to talk about anything. What's on your mind?
what's on my mind. What's on my mind? How about what's going on in real estate US market? Do I ask you or not today?
The US real estate market is definitely interesting right now. Here's a quick overview. Actually, hold on, let me start over. The US real estate market is definitely interesting right now. Here's a quick overview. We're seeing a bit of a slowdown compared to the last few years. Mortgage rates are still a factor, and that's impacting how much people can afford. There's also still a bit of a shortage of homes for sale in some areas, which is keeping prices relatively high. Would you like a more detailed breakdown?
Yes, please more.
Okay, here's a more detailed look at what's happening in the US real estate market. We're seeing a bit of a mixed bag right now. In some areas, prices are still going up, but in others, they're starting to level off or even dip a little. A big factor is those mortgage rates. They're still higher than they were a few years ago, and that's making it tougher for some people to afford homes. Inventory is another key piece of the puzzle. There are still areas with more buyers than sellers, which keeps things competitive. But in other places, there are more homes sitting on the market.
Okay, cool. More?
So, what other topics are you curious about?
Yeah, tell me about stock market. What's going on right now?
The stock market's been a bit of a roller coaster lately. We're seeing some ups and downs as investors react to news about inflation and interest rates. Some sectors, like technology, have been doing well, while others are a little more mixed. There's been a lot of talk about how the global economy might affect things, so that's something to keep an eye on.
Okay. More widely, please.
Okay, let's dive deeper into what's happening in the stock market. We're seeing a push and pull between optimism about economic growth and worries about inflation. That's why you see the market moving up and down. Also, keep an eye on interest rates. The Federal Reserve's decisions on rates have a big impact on how investors feel. And of course, global events play a role. Things happening overseas can create uncertainty, which affects the market. Would you like to hear about any specific sectors?
Yes, tell me sector by sector after.
overview of sector performance, it's important to remember that things change quite a bit, but I can give you some general trends.
Okay, more.
Energy companies have been doing well, driven by higher oil and gas prices. Technology has also seen some gains, especially in areas like artificial intelligence. On the other hand, sectors like consumer discretionary, which includes things like retail and travel, have been a bit more up and down as people worry about spending.
Okay. Okay.
Anyway, what
How
else is on your
about
mind?
tell me about India?
India is a fascinating and diverse country. It's the world's largest democracy, with a rich history and culture. What specifically about India are you curious about?
Relationship US and India.
The relationship between the US and India is a pretty big deal on the world stage right now. They're major allies, and their partnership is becoming increasingly important.
Okay. Little bit more.
Absolutely. Their relationship is built on a foundation of shared values like democracy and a growing economic partnership. They work together on a lot of things, from trade and technology to fighting climate change and ensuring security in the Indo-Pacific region.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me how India built those temples. You know, it's very hard to build those temples even with today's technologies because they have statues and everything like that, huge one statues, and a lot of different stuff. You know.
Yes, Indian temples are truly remarkable. They were built using incredible engineering and artistic skills. Craftsmen would carve the stone pieces with intricate details, and then they'd fit them together like a giant puzzle. They often used ramps and levers to move the heavy stones into place.
Go ahead, more. Let's dive deeply.
Absolutely. These temples often represent the pinnacle of ancient Indian engineering, with some dating back over 1,000 years. They were built without modern machinery, relying on the ingenuity of the builders. The precision of the stonework, the sheer size of the structures, and the intricate carvings are truly awe-inspiring.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Cool. So what else you can tell me about relationship between India and US?
The US and India have a pretty complex relationship, and it's definitely evolving. They're working together more and more on things like trade, technology, and even military cooperation. But they also have some disagreements, especially when it comes to things like trade and how they each deal with other countries.
Okay.
Anyway, what else is on your mind?
Yeah, tell me more.
India has the second largest population in the world, with over 1.4 billion people. It's a very diverse country with many different languages, religions, and cultures.
Yeah. Okay, but
India also has a very long and rich history, with ancient civilizations like the Indus Valley Civilization that existed thousands of years ago.
there is in India even no roads, no road signs.
Okay, let's talk about the challenges India faces. It's a huge country with a lot of people, and that can make things like poverty and inequality a big issue. They're working on it, but it's a tough challenge.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You know, I know in India even they don't have normal road regulation like lights and signs, stop signs. They don't have that. So no rules on the roads.
Well, India's infrastructure is definitely a work in progress. They're building new roads and highways all the time, but it's a huge undertaking. And yeah, traffic can be pretty chaotic. It's definitely an adventure to drive there.
Yeah, and India has the dirtiest rivers in the world, I think, yeah?
It's true that India faces significant challenges with river pollution. Rapid industrialization and urbanization have taken a toll on many of its waterways. Rivers like the Ganges and Yamuna, while considered sacred, are unfortunately among the most polluted in the world.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about regarding India?
No. All good. What else I want to tell you? I wanted to ask you. Yeah, tell me about Skagit tsunami area. You know Skagit in Washington? Skagit River?
Okay, let's talk about the Skagit River area and tsunami risk. It's important to understand that while the Skagit River itself isn't the primary source of tsunami danger, its proximity to the Puget Sound and the Strait of Juan de Fuca means it could be affected by tsunamis generated in those areas. Here's a breakdown. Actually, hold on, let me start over. Okay, let's talk about the Skagit River area and tsunami risk. It's important to understand that while the Skagit River itself isn't the primary source of tsunami danger, its proximity to the Puget Sound and the Strait of Juan de Fuca means it could be affected by tsunamis generated in those areas. Here's a breakdown. Generally,
Yeah,
the
I
biggest
got
tsunami
you.
threat to the Skagit County area
I got
would
you.
come from a major earthquake.
I got you. So, in that area was tsunami before. It's Skagit. It's not far away from Seattle. It's Mount Vernon City. So, Skagit area had a tsunami before. I understand. That's why there is sign like tsunami area.
Well, the
Yes.
Skagit River area is definitely at risk from tsunamis, mainly because it's connected to the Puget Sound. While there haven't been any major tsunami events directly impacting the Skagit River itself in recent history, the area is still vulnerable. Hang on, sorry. Let me try that again. Well, the Skagit River area is definitely at risk from tsunamis, mainly because it's connected to the Puget Sound. While there haven't been any major tsunami events directly impacting the Skagit River itself in recent history, the area is still vulnerable. Here's why. The biggest threat comes from the Cascadia subduction zone, which is off the Washington coast. A major earthquake there could send tsunami waves into the Puget Sound, affecting places like Skagit Bay, where the river empties out. There's also some risk from smaller, local tsunamis caused by earthquakes within the Puget Sound, or even underwater landslides. So while there might not be a history of huge tsunamis right on the Skagit River, the area definitely has those tsunami warning signs for a reason.
I got you.
If you'd like to learn more about the Skagit River, I can find information on its history, ecology, or recreational activities.
Yeah, tell me more.
The Skagit River is the third largest river in the U.S. that drains into the Puget Sound. It's about 150 miles long, and it's a major source of fresh water for the region. The river is also really important for salmon, and it's home to all 5 species of Pacific salmon.
No man, seriously? Here is some kind of, oh man, piece of,
Is there anything else I can help you with regarding the Skagit River?
yeah, something happened with tire. I think this guy lost the tire, garbage truck. So yeah, all good.
Oh dear, that sounds hazardous.
No.
Hopefully everyone's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there anything I can help you with?
Yeah.
Okay, if you're all set, I'll be here if you need anything else.
You guys who is not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. And see you later. Bye bye.